Josh,
Yes.
welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
I am Josh Jones. I am a drummer. I like to say I'm a drummer because percussionist sounds a little too hoity-toity to me. So I like hitting stuff. I play with the Grant Park Festival Orchestra as their principal percussionist. I am the former principal percussionist of the Kansas City Symphony and the former principal percussionist of the Calgary Philharmonic.
Sounds like you haven't done much with your life.
I also have...
That's awesome.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4 books. One smaller book that's more of like a pamphlet about articulations, and I'm planning on writing like at least 5 more.
Wow.
And I had to write a second edition of book 3.
You should have brought some books.
My backpack's kind of small.
Wait, we gotta, hold on. I'm gonna flip this camera so I make sure it's always on. I'm listening now.
Oh, hello. Hello.
That's crazy.
Woo.
So what? Start from the further back because you just said a lot of. You just dropped a lot of knowledge. You said a lot of things. So you played for a bunch of different symphonies. You played for Grant Park. You said.
Yep.
And then what were you doing at DePaul? Do you work there?
No,
I'm there.
So I'm actually playing a premiere in November with the DePaul Wind Ensemble, conducted by Erica Neidlinger. We're playing a piece by Augusta Reed Thomas called, I want to say, Illuminations Fanfare Symphonia, and it features timpani. So, funny story, when I was at DePaul as a freshman in undergrad, I was the timpanist of the Wind Symphony, basically. So, under the direction of Erica Neidlinger. So, when this came up, Erica threw my name in the hat, and they were like, "Oh, Josh, we like that guy. Let's have him come and do the solo." So I'm coming back as an alum playing timpani.
Okay. So that's we went to school for music, DePaul?
Yep. I did my undergrad there. I did a semester at Carnegie Mellon, and I like to say I did like 3 weeks at Cleveland Institute. It was very, very short.
Why just a semester at Carnegie Mellon?
I got my first job right before I started that semester. So
was it for a master's degree or a PhD?
Oh,
or
I was
DWA?
trying. I was trying to get my master's.
Okay.
And then I won a job.
Right.
Yeah, that was Calgary Philharmonic. That was the first one.
Okay. Calgary, Alberta.
Yep.
Okay.
Which
up in
was
Canada.
beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Probably in the summer only, though, right?
Yes, only, well...
We'll call it April to October.
April to before it starts smoking, and then...
Smoking?
The wildfires. It happens every year.
Oh, they have a lot of them?
Yeah.
Ouch.
So it's like, it's beautiful for a week, and then it starts getting smoky, and then you need... A lot of people don't wear masks up there when it gets smoky, but I have issues, so I need to wear a mask every time it's smoky.
Yeah. Wow. Did you have a hard time when it was really smoky here over the summer?
Oh, I was used to it. I was like, have my masks, and it was weird to see people not wearing masks for the smoke, because I was like, it's not healthy. If you know anything about the wildfires, I mean, it doesn't smell good either. So it's
no. I stayed in for a couple of those days. Mm-hmm. We have a nice clean house, good ventilation, good central air. So that probably gets rid of most of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that worked. But I did go for a really long walk one of the days, and I was like, it felt like I smoked like a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah,
it really
bad.
did. It felt like I smoked a pack of cigarettes. I was like, whoa, this is no joke. But people smoke a pack of cigarettes and they'll be okay.
Yeah.
So if you do it the one day, it's if you live like that every day.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, how do people just go play soccer every day during the summer months? It's like, oh my God. So.
Yeah. It's the downside of living in either near forest fire, reoccurring places, or major cities where the air is just, the air in Chicago is terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, it's dust, brake dust, concrete and steel, like tons of car emissions, tons of airplane emissions. We have O'Hare and Midway.
Yeah.
Tons of trains, and a lot of them are electric, but they still create a lot of residue with all the shipping and moving and coal and this and steel and refineries. I mean, yeah, no, it's
not the best.
It's not the best. It's not, and you know when you go to like other places. Like
yeah, you definitely know.
Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So DePaul, Carnegie Mellon, then you went Cleveland Institute.
I did it out of order. So I did DePaul, Cleveland Institute for a little bit because at the same time, I was the percussion fellow for the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. So I was trying to do like a small certificate thing at Cleveland while also doing the Detroit thing, which was a lot. And I quickly said, I should probably only do one thing.
What year did you finish DePaul?
2014.
Okay, so you graduated high school 2010?
Yep.
Where did you go to high school?
Whitney Young.
Whitney Young. So do you know Thaddeus Tooks?
I do. Okay. I saw you did a thing with him.
Him and I are cool. I've known him for many years. He played DZ Fest right there. 2020.
Nice.
And then I've had him on the podcast. He actually is getting his master's at ISU right now.
Oh, cool.
Where I teach. I've been there for 6 years. I drive down there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I teach at Columbia on Wednesdays. And yeah, so I see him sometimes. He's been a guest speaker at one of my classes, and yeah, great vibraphone. Yeah, great percussionist, great musician, cool guy. Yeah, it's funny because he also went to Whitney Young, I believe.
I think so.
Pretty
sure.
Pretty dope Chicago musicians and artists have gone to Whitney Young. I think Chance did. Right? Chance.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably close to your age, actually.
Yep.
Yeah. A ton of people have gone there, yeah. That's cool. So Whitney Young, DePaul, you never wanted to leave Chicago until you got out of bachelor's.
Yeah, until I got a something.
Yeah, something comes up, which is really rare in the music world, as you know, as I know. It's rare. It's when I have friends or students, colleagues that want to go into the arts, it doesn't really matter what it is, just any arts, I always give advice, like, definitely do it, but you got to be undeniable, and you got to be obsessed, and you got to be, like, intense, and you got to go way above and beyond what you even think you should be doing, because there are jobs, not many, and a lot of the ones that are available, just like every industry, there's nepotism, so a lot of the nepotism's going on, so they get it. So if you don't have connections and you don't come from money, which is a lot of artists and musicians, you got to make that happen. So you got to be undeniable. You have to make a name for yourself, to go above and beyond, do everything ever you could ever do, focus on just that task, and you might get something. And it's might. It's not even guaranteed.
Yeah.
And I'd say when people don't listen to that, or they just think like, it's not like you're getting an engineering degree in mechanical engineering. You're going to get a job in aerospace or electronics or computer science. This is not that world.
Yeah.
Which is fine. We need both. But you gotta, it's a different beast. But it's really cool when people do it. When they like do it and they focus and they go to school for it and they get the job and they get those positions. So it's really cool you're doing it. What was it like on your end? Going to school for what was your main focus in school?
Oh, percussion.
I
like to say it was the only thing I was good at. So people were like, "Hey, you're good at that. You should do it for a job." And I was like, "You can do this as a job."
Yeah, right. Bang on stuff for a job.
Yeah, it's funny. So I grew up. Let's see. How do I want to go about this? So I grew up in Chicago. When I was in 4th grade, there was an opportunity to join the Percussion Scholarship Program, which also Thaddeus Tooks was a part of.
Yes, he was.
So they basically take you through the entire gambit of orchestral percussion, but they don't like tell you that at first. They're just like, "Hey, bang on this." Well, they don't say bang, but they say play on this drum pad, and then we'll give you a snare drum, and then we'll teach you how to play marimba, and oh, by the way, we'll teach you how to play tambourine and timpani and blah blah blah. You know, so they're like subtly telling you how to perform really, really serious, classically trained percussion.
Yeah.
Without saying you're going to be a classically trained percussionist.
Okay.
So around 15, 16, they may or may not have a talk where they're like, "Hey, you're doing really well. We want to amp things up because you might be able to do this as a career because you're doing really well." And I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." And I obviously did not understand what was going on because they were just like, "Oh, we're just going to give you more stuff to play." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." So lessons ramped up a ton. I was playing like super hard or quote unquote super hard. They don't say anything's hard. They're very careful about that. Nothing's hard. They just give you a piece of music and you're supposed to learn it by next week. So I was playing like grad level music before I was a freshman. Like I went to DePaul and all the nerds are going to know about this. For my freshman entrance audition, I played Velocities, which is a grad student level piece.
Nerds.
Yeah, and to this day, they say no one has ever come in playing Velocities as a freshman.
Wow. That's awesome.
So there are people who can, but at DePaul, they haven't had one yet.
So you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, my teachers, Douglas Waddell and Patricia Dash, they really, really pushed me. And luckily, I wanted to be pushed. At least I remember I wanted to be pushed.
Yeah.
They might say something different. But yeah, and I just like doing it. I was playing drum set when I was a kid. And
what neighborhood were you from in Chicago?
Oh, Inglewood.
Oh, okay.
55th or 56th and Wood.
Yeah.
5635 South Wood. The house is still there.
Wow. That is a very challenging neighborhood to come from and to go to DePaul and be where you are. So
yes,
that's amazing.
We did it.
No, for real.
We're doing it.
That's wild. Yeah, I hung out by 55th and Western a lot because my dad's from Gage Park, backyards. You grew up around the South Side a lot. So as a kid, growing up or being around that area, and I remember my grandma would always, they're Mexican, and she'd always be like, don't go east of Damon on 55th. Like, don't go past the train tracks.
Yeah.
Like, classic, like, no joke, don't go past the train tracks. And I was like, why? And she's like, just stay over here. I mean, like, I wasn't even from, I lived in the suburbs, so it's like I really don't know what I'm doing or how to navigate the city. It's a different mind.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, when I drive, if I drive through that area, if I, like, want to go to Hyde Park, you know, and I get off the 9094 and go just past Martin Luther King Drive and out there. And what bothers me so much, and you grew up with this, so I'm sure it really bothers you, is you see the U of C campus and that world, and then there's a park, and then there's what should not be happening with humans in America with the prosperity and these skyscrapers and an endowment of $10 billion right around the corner called University of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I don't care how it sounds. It pisses me off. I'm like, I don't know. So it's sad. It's like, how are these so close to each other, juxtaposing each other in the same view? You know, you can be and look 1,000 feet in one direction, and it's like millionaires. And you look one way, and you're like, some of the harshest conditions in America right in your face.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But I don't know where I'm going with this. When I hear that, I just...
Yeah, it's stupid. Especially to see what was lost when they took over that big plot of land for that school. It's just so sad because there were places where we would go to play chess with all the neighbors, and it's just we used to feed birds in one of the smaller parks, and now it's like I forget where the building used to be too. Like I can't even remember where things used to be just because it's yeah. So it's sad.
Yeah.
But, you know, capitalism.
Every form of society or government has its pros and cons to a certain point.
Yeah.
Like capitalism is great literally to a certain point on both ends of the bell curve. In the middle, it works great. You know, you and I, you could write a book, I could start a business, I could start a festival. Like I literally can with like next to nothing. And you could do it if you like persevere and try and make connections. You can't really do it in a lot of other countries.
Yeah.
Really can't. But once you get to the tips of either end, it is hot garbage. It is dangerous and it is scary and it is exploitative and it's a lot of things. I don't really know what to do about it.
Me neither.
But I just wish people who did make a lot of money through their ideas and companies just did more with it. I have no problem with making the money, but it's like, do you really need these billions?
You really don't.
Like, you really don't. And you could save millions of lives with all this money. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Like, these people are already living off next to nothing. They don't need much to be okay. Or just reviving neighborhoods, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, you don't even have to give money directly to a person. Just like, invest in the neighborhoods. Bring some small businesses in, some stores, things that can bring jobs. That's what makes a neighborhood worth living in and safe.
Yeah.
You know, that's all. It's that simple. Libraries, museums, just things to do. you know? A lot of kids really just get in trouble because there's nothing to do.
There's nothing to do.
There's nothing to do. They just do stupid stuff instead. What made you, growing up in that area, what made you go the direction you did? Because Wood, that's 2 blocks west of Ashland, so like, right? I think so.
I'm terrible with directions.
I'm good with them, so I'm going to go with my hunch. I'm pretty sure it's 2 blocks west of Ashland. And 56, you said. Yeah, that's a challenging place to be, that whole Englewood area, you know?
Yeah, so we weren't allowed to go outside.
Right.
I remember we went outside once to ride my blue Power Rangers tricycle, and that was the last time I remember riding it. It was like one day. I don't even remember the second time we went outside to play. Like,
really?
Yeah, so we were in the house, and
did someone take the bike? Is that why you don't?
Oh no, it was in the it was in like the basement or something, or in the back entrance to the basement or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, we were just in the house, you know, play. I have 2 sisters, so we played a bunch. And I liked drums and music, so I would sing along to cassettes. We had like 4 or something. It was a Rocky 3 mixtape, which is my favorite.
Like the score?
Yeah. It's like was it Rocky 3 or 4? It might have been 4. I think it was 4. Rocky 4. Rocky 3 is my favorite Rocky, though.
Is that with Hulk Hogan or Mr. T?
3. Yeah. 3 is the one with Hulk Hogan in the beginning, and then Mr. T. Yeah. I pity the fool. So yeah, that's my favorite one. I love the Rocky series. So we had Rocky 4, we had Disney, and then a bunch of Down to the Bone, smooth jazz-ish, kind of, not really. And then a bunch of gospel tapes. And I memorized all of it, and I would sing different lines of either the orchestra playing or the singers. Like I have a very wide range in my voice, so I would sing all the women lines and be like, and I would just go back and forth. Like I would sing the Aladdin A Whole New World, and I'd go back and forth between Jasmine and Aladdin.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you sing? Like, is that something
No. I sing well enough to teach. Like I'm really good at singing for teaching.
Okay.
And I do it on my Instagram too when I'm sight singing something on Vibes, usually. But yeah, I wish I had a better pleasing voice for people so I could be a famous singer or something.
You and me both. You and me both cannot sing. I mean, obviously, it's one of those things where you can practice it and get better, but that's true. But then there's something called tonality and timbre, and like if you don't have a pleasing tone and an overall appealing timbre, sometimes not even for like objectively beautiful, but unique. Because there's people who don't have like classically beautiful, like a Whitney Houston voice or Celine Dion, but they have a very unique
Jacob Collier.
Anybody. Someone has they're on pitch, on time, great cadences, but they have like some gravel to their voice or something. And people like that too. But when you're in this place, not in both of those camps, you're kind of like, I don't know, it's just not that appealing.
Then you do Muppet voices, and then you can sing whatever you want.
Yeah, or you become a writer and you write the lyrics for someone else to sing. You know, that's what I've always done. It's just like, I don't know, someone else sing it. I'm okay with it. You know, but so that you just stayed at home and just played a lot of music.
Yep.
Man, I stayed out. I was like only outside in my neighborhood, but it was very open yards, woodsy, you know, and that sucks. It makes me sad. There's a lot of people who deal with that, you know.
Yeah.
But
we turned out all right.
Yeah, you did. You sure did. So you got into that, went to Whitney Young, which is a great school, and then DePaul. And then you said how many books have you wrote books? How many? Yeah.
So when I was at Percussion Scholarship Program, I would always be asked by Doug to help out the younger students, just because I just liked helping people. So I would just like, oh, do you need help with the first years? He'd be like, yeah, just look at their thumb and first finger. And then the next year I'm like, oh, do you need help? Like, yeah, teach this kid how to roll. And so I would. Eventually, they started giving me some students to help with specific problems that I was really good at fixing. To this day, they still ask me to teach people how to roll because I have a really good drum roll. So I actually was hired as an assistant teacher by them when I went to DePaul. So when I graduated, they were like, "Oh, we want to give you a job with the CSO Percussion Scholarship Program." So I was still teaching there from 2010 to 2014. Before that, though, I started noticing things that the kids would always be exposed to, and certain exercises that I thought were really helpful to get them ready for certain tests that they would have to do. Yeah. So I started writing like small pamphlets of like, this is what they need to know when they're a first year. This is what they need to know when they're a second year. And eventually it turned into, well, what am I working on? I'm working on these things and this, and I don't see this in a book. And I just started writing exercises for myself.
Okay.
And it started as one pamphlet to like 5 chapters to now we have 10 books on the way, basically.
Wow.
Over a 10-year period.
And what percentage of those books is like you're doing?
I want to say, so I actually put this in the first book too. Because of certain aspects of playing that I didn't find in percussion, I started venturing out into acting philosophy, martial arts philosophy, Buddhism, Feldenkrais method, Alexander technique, and just trying to make a drum version of all of that.
Okay.
So there are certain things where I'll say, like, I'm always talking about a loose tailbone. And if my students hear this, they're like, "Oh, the tailbone again." But that's something.
What does that mean, the loose tailbone?
Oh, it's like feeling it's a Feldenkrais thing where you're supposed to feel your skeleton on a chair or just in general. You're supposed to feel your skeleton more than you feel your muscles because that's the more relaxed way of feeling things.
I broke my tailbone.
Oh, God.
It was not good.
That's not, ow.
It was one of the worst things I ever experienced. But it's okay. I just couldn't sit right or lay down right for like a year.
Yeah, that's...
Not to be a Debbie Downer.
Oh, no.
I just, as soon as you said tailbones, I was
You're
like,
oh, those
yeah,
were
it
the
brought
days.
back fond memories. That's interesting to kind of like feel more grounded and focused.
Yeah. Maximum weight. So there are certain things where I'm always, this is another thing. Anytime I say something that I got from like Bruce Lee or another teacher, I'm always like, oh, I learned this from Keith Aleo or Bruce Lee or Les Twins. So I'm always trying to credit who I learned it from,
right,
instead of some people who are just like, oh, I learned everything by myself and this is my idea and my book. So
very few people have learned anything on their own.
Yeah.
Very few.
I will say there are certain very niche things that I've discovered by myself and they're super niche. Like, I don't know. There's a really niche thing where I can change the fulcrum in my hand based on weight distribution and not simply like thinking about a finger. It's weird. It's in the first book.
Read the book, kids.
Yeah.
What are the names of these books? And
Spatial Studies for Hitting Things.
That's a funny name.
It's a 100% acceptance rate. I don't know.
It sounds like something for like kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Things.
It's and that's how simple it really should be. Like, I don't know.
That's cool. And how many? You said 10 books?
So I have 4 out, and I have 10 planned. That's the idea.
How long are these books?
Depends on the book. The 4th book is the shortest because it's the etude book. It's extremely difficult. I'm sorry. I feel bad whenever somebody buys it because I'm just like, oh, they're gonna hate me.
Why?
The solos are very hard.
Oh, okay.
Like you need to be very. You have to really know your way around a drum to play them. They're extremely hard.
Okay,
but doable because I've played them all.
You've been checking out my Gretsch over there. I know you have. It's fine. It was a very good purchase, but like nothing fancy. But everyone who comes in to like record here, they, instead of bringing their kit, everyone enjoys a Gretsch. You know, bring their snare, kick, pedal, cymbals, you're set. But what kind of kit do you tend to play on?
Sonar.
Sonar, okay.
Usually, I have my sister has a very small cocktail kit that sounds amazing. But I haven't played on it in a very long time.
Okay, so
Probably a decade now.
And what about what other instruments do you play besides
everything? So
everything?
I only know I can name the things I can't play. I can't name the things that I can play because there's too
all right,
many.
let's do that.
I cannot play berimbau. I can hack my way.
What's
through.
a berimbau?
It's like it looks like a bow, like a bow and arrow bow.
Oh,
with
yeah,
a gourd in the middle, and you hit it with a branch or something.
Okay.
People are gonna hate me.
Where does that derive from?
I have no idea.
Sounds very different.
Yeah,
foreign.
I really should know because I have friends who play it, and they're gonna be sad that I don't know where their instrument's from. So,
and you're talking you could play instruments that aren't even percussion based.
Oh no, just all percussion.
Oh,
I can hack my
you,
way through like piano.
I thought you meant like everything. Like I play violin, viola.
God, no, I can
okay,
make
you're
a
talking
sound.
strictly percussion.
Strictly percussion.
So vibraphone, xylophone,
Vibe, xylo, glock,
marimba,
chimes, timpani, drum set, conga, all the congas, pandero. I love pandero, tambourine, triangle, cowbell. You get all the small stuff.
All the stuff.
Wind whistle.
I can whistle well. Timpani. Can you talk more about that?
Oh gosh, that's book 7, hopefully.
But that's like one of the big things you do, right?
Yeah, I'm actually assistant timpanist at Grant Park.
Oh shoot!
So I'm principal. It's one of the rare principal percussion and assistant timpani jobs. I don't think there's many of those.
So how often do you play?
Oh, it depends on the year. Last year I played twice or once. I might have played once this past summer.
That's
I
it?
think
They
I
don't
played
do more shows
3. Oh, because they have a main timpani guy. So I'm the assistant. So it's either.
So we got to get rid of him.
No, it's fine. So sometimes there are pieces like not this past season, but the year before, there was a piece where it required 2 timpani players. So I would play the second part, and he would play the first part. It's a really dope piece too.
How big in diameter are the timpanis?
Not including the rim. You have 32-inch, a 29, a 26, and a 23. Usually, some are 31. I forget 25. 20, I forget all the, yeah, I can't remember.
You said 36?
32.
32, so
32
2 3/4 feet.
Yeah, wow. And then sometimes there's a 20 as a 5th drum.
That's big. How low, do you know how low in frequency they get? Pitch?
On a really, really, really good set, the lowest pitch on a 32, you can get a C.
Okay,
so low C.
That's
on a really, really, really good one.
It's like what, 32 hertz or something?
I have no idea.
I think
I'm really bad at music.
Well, that's not. Now you're not music. Now we're getting audio theory. You know, I think a C might be because if I believe it's 30 because an A is 27.5 on a piano, the low A, which means A flat's probably 29. B, yeah, it might be like a 32, 33 hertz, very low frequency.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
The sound wave that comes out of that is multiple feet wide. It's quite big.
That I have heard.
Yeah.
My partner, Sarah, she always talks about her low E. It's like however long.
Low E of what instrument?
Bass, double bass.
Double bass. So the E, I think the E is like around 45, 42, 45 hertz, I think. And well, if 1,150 feet is a foot in hertz, I just know. I teach this stuff. I know it.
Oh, there you go.
Half of that is about 565. So it was 2 feet, 237, 4 feet, 8 feet, 16 feet. Yeah, probably like 20 feet. 20,
okay.
Yeah.
She's very happy to have a long practice room because now she can hear the whole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because if you're in smaller rooms, you'll get more standing waves and some unique nodes and antinodes in space. Because the room acts as a resonator. Yeah, but it's also not always ideal to be outside when you have no acoustic reinforcement.
Yes.
Because then the opposite happens, and it's very unnatural sounding. That's why they have acoustically treated spaces that work for this stuff. We're on a rant with that. I nerd out about it. It's fascinating. It's just fascinating knowing like you exist And there's these things just going on all around you.
Yeah.
Big frequencies diffracting all around all these objects, and you can't see them. You just hear them and feel them. That's cool. That's a big frequency, though. So you do the timpani, and then you play for an orchestra? You do an orchestra?
Oh, yeah, just Grant Park.
Just Grant Park, but not any other cities?
I sub with the Pittsburgh Symphony, the Detroit Symphony, the Lyric Opera. I think I'm now on the Richmond Symphony sub
Do you just
list.
drive to these places when they call you?
Oh, I fly.
You fly?
Fly and bus and Uber. I do not drive.
Right. Yeah, you say that with such force. Is it like...
Yeah, it's like that would be
proud?
a deep cut. It's like a Speed Racer reference.
Oh, okay. I can't tell if you're like proud of it or out of necessity or both.
Every time I try to get my license, I get way too busy to finish the course. Like, it's like a running joke in my family.
It's fast. You could do it. It's quick.
That's the thing. It's like, oh, I would take the classes, and then when it comes time to take the test, like I have to go out of country or something. Like it's, or something crazy happens. Like it's just, it never worked out.
Okay. Yeah. So you travel a lot to different places. My buddy Jason Niehoff, you may not know him, but he does a similar thing. He plays upright bass, and he's always going around Midwest, Grand Rapids, Cincinnati. We just recorded here a couple days ago because he was submitting for Minnesota's principal bassist position. Yeah, he used to be really close with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra's principal bassist for a long time. Joe something, I can't think of his name. Anyway, yeah, but I've noticed a trend of a lot of people trying to get into orchestras that just like go all over the Midwest, the whole country for like that gig, this gig, this here and there. So that part of it almost is more like high-end freelance position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could pick one, which one would you want to be in? Since you've worked
Chicago.
With somebody. Yeah. I guess that was
Chicago,
an easy one.
Yeah. Actually, Lyric is going to have an audition at some point. I don't know when, but the Lyric Opera will. So not that I'm not in love with opera, but I wouldn't mind playing opera.
It's not the worst.
Yeah, it's definitely not the worst.
There are worse things to have to do in life. You could just be playing a drum kit at some local cover band bar, too. Could be doing that, which that's fine, too.
Yeah,
but that's definitely not the Lyric Opera House or CSO, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I also love teaching, so if somebody offered me a teaching gig, I would be down. Like,
do you teach now at all?
Yes, I teach online, in person. I think that's all you can do right now. So.
And
I
in
teach
spirit. You forgot
via
spirit.
pigeon.
You forgot spirit. I teach in spirit. I teach online. I teach in person.
Carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeon. That's okay. So by that, do people like go to your place and you just?
I usually either. I think I mainly go to other people's places.
Oh, okay.
At least that's the trend right now. Or I do Zoom, and then they're in their practice space, and I'm looking like, oh, what sticks are you using?
I'm so tired of Zoom. It was like barely a thing, and now it's like the thing. You know, it's weird. Man, if you didn't know and you bought stock in Zoom in like February, man, that's funny to think about. So have you ever tried playing other instruments, or are you just kind of stuck with percussion?
I just stuck with percussion. I tried playing electric bass because my dad and my aunt play electric bass.
Okay.
On his side, his sister. I was very bad, so...
You're like, I'm staying away from a lot of stuff. I'm going percussion.
Yeah. My left hand was worthless.
Have you played outside of the country?
Canada.
Oh, yeah, Calgary, but just Calgary.
But other than that, no.
No, okay. And do you study a lot of the history of percussion? Like,
no, I really should. I'm a bad percussionist.
I was wondering if you knew more about the history, because it's a very interesting and deep, rich history.
Yeah,
it might be...
Yeah, depending on...
It's the first instrument in my book, besides our human voice. You know?
It depends on, like the, what do you call it? Like the history of the marimba is slightly newer, but if you go back enough, it's really not. Like it's, kalimba in Africa. I forget which one is called in China, and they're everywhere.
It's funny those are considered like percussion.
Yeah.
I always found like marimba vibes, xylophone, an interesting thing called percussion. Because it's so different from drums, congas, bongos, timpani. It's like not the same thing. Like you're hitting something, but it's it's got an actual key and pitch to it, and you could play literally melodic songs with it.
Yeah, my partner, depending on how fast you roll, it can be a note, but you probably can't play fast enough for you to hear.
You can't. You can't. The brain needs a good, 20, 30, 40 milliseconds of continuous time. I think it actually takes until about 50 to 60 milliseconds to recognize pitch. So if it's a fast transient, just like a hit, you don't have it. That's why, what are your thoughts on people who are drummers who are very obsessed with tuning the toms and the snare and the kit to like the resonant pitch of the key of the song? Because in my mind, I'm like, you can't recognize the pitch of the skin, so it doesn't really matter. You're not hitting it fast enough. You're not hitting it long enough. So what do you think?
It depends on the piece. Like sometimes it just sounds bad if you have like, I don't know, you're playing what's a really good one? Surf
the song by the Ventures called
and you have
Wipeout.
Wipeout, there you go. And you have the low tom tuned to the tonic. Like I don't know if you really want to hear da 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 da. You don't want to hear a pitch with the tom. You want it to be
G. I think it's G would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah. So some I would say no. Or triangle. You don't want to have a pitched triangle for a thing. You want it to have a lot of frequencies to really match the orchestra.
Right.
So sometimes I would say, yeah, tune it to the resonance of the piece. Other times I'm like, no, it just sounds.
What do you tune to? How do you do it?
Resonance of the drum.
Okay, of the drum itself.
Yeah.
So each tom is, but then people have their own twist on it.
I know.
And then
everybody has
a bottom head.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you take off the bottom head.
Sounds like a drum podcast. Like that's the YouTube thing. Sounds like a drum. They talk about this all the time.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah.
So what do you think? How would you coach someone and tell them like how to tune? Like what does that even mean to the layman's, the tune to the resonant of the drum?
So I would say the resonance of the drum, you would hear a attack. It's a balance of attack, sustain, and release, or
decay and release.
Decay and release.
Yeah.
So you would hear a clear attack. You wouldn't hear a lot of like wow, wow, wow. You would hear a da, something like that.
Yeah, there's some nasty overtones on some drums.
that's why you really need to have it balanced with the bottom head.
I have had to work some editing, equalizing magic on the recording end with people, mostly a snare. Snare is by far the worst, where it has this boom, boom, boom. Some people do the wallet, some gaff tape, they put a ring. But if you want, I'm sure, are you a purist about that? Do you want to just figure out how to do it without any of those things?
Well, that's the thing. You need something. But depending on the type, depending on the way you tune it, you can have a lower pitch overtone or a higher pitch overtone, a fast one, a longer sounding one. Yeah. And then you have, orchestral snare drum tuning is slightly different than like, what do you call it? Drumline. It's for drumline.
It's dish dead.
Yeah.
Just hits and just over.
Yeah, and it's very high. Like it's the pitch
for drumline.
Yeah, it's a very higher pitch, in my opinion.
It's ear piercing. Do you practice hearing conservation, hearing protection?
Oh yeah, I have like custom
sensophonics.
I have no idea what they're called, but I have custom made.
Are they the ones you got? You had to go in. They do a silicon negative, and then they take it.
Yep.
Sensophonics over 660 North Milwaukee.
Oh, I got them in Kansas City.
Oh, you don't. Sensophonics is a great company in Chicago that I tell everyone to go to. I've been there a bunch of times, but they make like really nice custom ones. They put a mold in your ear, or they make a mold of your ear, and so you have custom earplugs. They have interchangeable filters. Negative. I do negative 15 decibels.
I think I got 20s.
There's 9, 15, and 25 for this available one, and 15 is the flattest frequency across from 20 to 20,000 hertz. It has no boost or attenuation or anything. So everything sounds exactly how it should. It's great, but what I'm getting at is by far the most hearing damage is going to be from percussion. By far. It's the loudest thing in the band. It's the loudest thing, period. It's designed to where acoustically, without even amplification, like electric guitar amplified, bass amplified, vocals, PA, drums, that snare cuts through all of it, even without amplification. I mean, obviously at big venues, they still amplify it, but smaller places, they don't put mics on it. They don't need to. Maybe the kick drum, but that's it, not the snare. And the cymbals, don't even get me started. And
a ride cymbal right here.
Oh, I was in a band, I've been in bands forever, but before I wore hearing protection, I would just be like, feet from the snare, hi-hat, like the left side, and my ears would be killing after practice. It's so loud. But so you tell people in your life, your students and stuff, to get hearing protection?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's good. It's important because there was a time of the generations before us where it was like lame to do that, or, like, oh, you don't need to hear, like, just the dumb stuff that truly ignorant people would just be saying. They have no idea what they're talking about. It's like telling someone, like, go outside and stare at the sun. It's like, why would you do that? You're going to wear glasses, a hat with the brim, sunscreen, protect yourself. Like, hearing is no different. You can't just expose it to these. These loud sounds are not naturally occurring, and they were never around for our existence, ever. These are all man-made new things. Our ears were not meant for them at all. Our ears have been developing for a long time, and they were never meant for amplification and bands and concerts and venues and orchestras and sporting events. These things didn't exist, and there's some serious hearing problems. And most people think that the hearing is it comes with age, when really it's mostly self-induced. But it just so happens that with age, things are self-induced because you've been exposing yourself for a long time. But if you actually protect your hearing your whole life, especially if you stay away from like drugs and alcohol, cigarettes, those things hurt your hearing. Your hearing could be quite good at an older age. It can. And you'll meet those people once in a while. You'll talk to an older individual, and they're pretty sharp. They could still hear really well. And you're like, oh, you can like... And then you talk to an old person who was either in war or, military, had an accident, machinery, worked in warehouses, forklifts, whatever, and they're just like, huh? What? Huh? They just can't hear anything, and it's sad. You lose the ability to communicate and be a human being. So protect your hearing, everyone.
Do the thing.
Do the thing. What have you been doing lately?
Writing books.
When you write, do you mean physically write? Do you type it?
Type usually. Or type or map out. Like I'm mapping out the timpani book. I'm sorry, everybody, about the timpani book. It's going to be crazy. Like my last book was, the first book was 10,000 exercises.
How many pages?
I don't remember.
I wish you brought one. I want to see it.
I know, the first book was big. The second book is twice as big. Like, it's stupid.
And
insane.
where are these people getting these books?
So you can get the first two. They're physical copies through Bakovich Publications in New York City. Thank you, Bakovich, for sponsoring this. And then the book 3 and 4 are digital on my website. 3 is going to get a second edition where I actually talk about time, and I have a slightly unique, but not really. I have a dancer version of how to explain time.
Time as in like
tempo, and rhythmic integrity is what I like to call it. Rhythmic integrity.
What are your thoughts on metronome versus non-metronome? Performing and or recording.
Yeah, you need a guide to know what your tendencies are, and then when you are comfortable enough, eventually you won't need the training wheels unless you have to go back and recalibrate sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I despise metronome. There's that loud sound you said you were gonna make. No, I love it. I love it. Why? Why'd you make that sound? You feel like?
Oh, that's my laugh. So.
No. So it's funny. Good. Yeah, I can't. I'm so sick and tired of them. Not because they don't work, because obviously they do. It's the obsession and reliant.
Yeah, it's
nature people have with them where they get married to it and they're like.
Then they can't play in time without it.
Like and they won't. a song isn't right unless it's there, even when the song is fine without it. The fact that they know it wasn't, the whole thing, the psychological parts of it drive me crazy. And in my experience with recording thousands upon thousands of live takes without metronomes, I have never been wow or impressed or, oh, they needed this when I do listen to ones that do have it, like more studio albums. Or the studio albums that don't use it. I'm just like, it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not a metronome, and neither are you. We are not perfect atomic clocks, so like,
why are we trying
can't keep track of that anyway. In fact, most of the time you play with your heart, how you feel, where your mind is. These things ebb and flow. So I agree. Maybe it's a good thing to like a training wheel.
Yeah.
Get started, kind of make sense of it, and then cut that thing out. Just play music, have some fun, live outside of this robot. It just drives me crazy. And I've just had such brutal experiences with people trying to like play along with it, and it just isn't working. They're trying to make that shoe fit. And a song that is recorded and played to a metronome that isn't quite matching is way worse than one where they just play according to the vibe of the space and room. And the drummer becomes the metronome, and they feed off each other. And the drummer doesn't speed up because we're not speeding up, but we don't speed up because they're not. And boom, 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 and you feed off. It's a symbiotic relationship. That's my thoughts. But I'm not a percussion aficionado. I just record a lot, and I see, and I play a lot too. I get it. It's like I never had the need for them, you know. But
yeah, it's like, well, and then it's good to do it because like when you do have to play with the click track with. When we have to play like movie scores with the film.
That's true.
You'd be surprised how many musicians cannot play with the click track.
Now like, that is a place where it probably does make sense to have it for a score.
It's like I know how this works. We all work with the metronome. We all have worked with the metronome. It's a click. It's literally the same thing. Why are we rushing?
Oh man, you sound like what's his name? The actor in Whiplash.
Oh God, yeah.
What do you think of that movie? Being the expert that you are.
The ending killed it for me.
Yeah.
If it wasn't
J.K.
for that
Simmons, that's who it was. J.K.
Yeah,
Simmons.
if that ending didn't happen the way it happened, it would have been a great movie.
Like what part of the ending? Because it kind of have a couple parts of the ending.
So there's a moment where the J.K. Simmons, not Simmons, J.K. Simmons smiles at whatever the kid's name is, and he smiles back. And it's like there's a moment earlier in the movie where he said he wished he could have had this type of student who reminded him of his favorite player. And that moment, you could see he finally found in this student the person he was looking for. But it makes it look like all the abuse was worth this event happening. And the kid acknowledges it and he smiles back. And I don't like that. It's just
right, that it took all that abuse for the person.
Yeah, it makes it seem like all the abuse was what it took. And it was a good thing. And that is not the ending I wanted. No.
I mean, that's not a good way for anything to go. It should be the more... you could be strict and harsh, but more constructive reinforcement and criticism. Not throwing things and just belittling, just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Ruthless. Yeah. Did you have any instructors like anything like that?
Thank God, no.
Good.
I was very like all of my teachers, I was very fortunate to have my very first teacher, Doug Waddell, was probably the strictest, but also like it wasn't in a mean way. He was just like, this is where it has to be, and these are the things you have to do, and you know, it wasn't like you gotta do this, kind of thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's probably everybody's been amazing. Luckily, I haven't had a bad teacher.
Have you heard of any?
Oh yeah, like especially when I went to college, because when I was in like growing up, we just had Doug and Patsy, and we didn't know anything else. Like I didn't know Velocities was a hard graduate piece because they just found it online. They were like, "You want to learn this for college?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll learn it."
So when I went so hard,
just the technique you need and the endurance that you need for it. Just because in Percussion Scholarship Program, you get like really high level teaching at a younger age. So we were super ahead of the curve at like age 12.
Okay.
So yeah, we were playing like high school level things when we were young. So yeah, when you get to college, you hear about other teachers at other places and how tough they are, or how some teachers won't acknowledge you unless you win a job after you graduate. There were rumors about that. You just hear like weird stories of just like the nepotism, narcissistic teacher. And you're just like, why is this a thing? Like, it's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I never understood being like that ruthless teacher. I'm not that person. If someone messes up or does something completely wrong, I'll just like politely explain to them that happened, and like you're gonna want to fix that, because in the real world you can't like be doing that in a professional setting. Or if you sent the wrong file, like you're gonna have to know how to do file management and label stuff and have the right bit depth and sample rate and levels and stuff. Like that's just how it is. Like it literally is quantifiable. There's empirical information. It's not subjective. But then when it gets to subjective stuff, which I kind of like more, then it's more or less trying to get them to understand and talk about what they're doing and why, how to express it, how to explain it to others and themselves, how to explain to people who don't know what they're talking about, to professionals, and give intent as to why they're doing it and what the outcome they're intending for, and then meshing that with the technical stuff. I think both are great, but to be rude or condescending or like harsh, no, it doesn't help anyone. It's not, this isn't like, you know, the Ultimate Fighter or like an NFL
it's not
team.
boot camp.
Yeah, this isn't boot camp. That the only time that you do that is boot camp, because it's like life or death.
Yeah,
and it is super like beyond serious. Like this is music. Like
I mean,
you know, we're putting together melodies and rhythms for the world to enjoy. This is a luxury that we have in our society, you know, and it's pretty interesting. Music is fascinating. Where do you think it comes from?
Oof. Man.
In your experience.
You know, Jojo Mayer would, this is, again, I always give credit to people because, like, it's like acknowledging or similar wavelengths of thought. Like, I've had this thought, but I only knew I had this thought when someone talked about it. Like, oh, it was not acknowledged. Like I don't know. Can't think of the word. I'm terrible at English.
Like acknowledging someone who came with it? Paying homage?
It was an affirmation. It was that I was right about something, or what I was thinking was actually the thing I was supposed to be thinking about. I was affirmed in that belief or something like that. I can't think of the other word. People are going to be like, it's this word on the podcast.
Also, remember that a lot of people listening don't know the people you're talking about. So try to, when you say them, say who they are or how you know them. Or like,
so Jojo Mayer is the drum set player for the band, his band, Nerve. They started in New York at the New Blue Club, I think. It's bad that I know more about those bands than I know about music. So now they travel all over the place. I think he has 4 albums or maybe 5. And his whole thing was to take drum and bass beats and play them acoustically. And it's insane. Like it literally sounds like a machine. Not that he's trying to sound like a machine, but he's trying to get the musicality that he hears DJs do and do it live. So they obviously use some mixing. They have live mixer. I can't remember his name, but yeah, they have a keyboardist. I can't remember his name. And then John is the bassist and also produces the music. I want to say I'm probably terrible at this, but yeah. So Joshua Mayer would say, music is like talking about your entire life in a piece, or a piece of, depending on the piece of music, it might talk about a specific scene in your life. So, yeah, I think music is that. It's like how you grew up, what you were exposed to, what your life's experiences were.
But like, so those might be a combination of where some sparks come from, but like, where does that might be the ignition. Where is the spark? Where that might be the fuel.
You know,
that's the fuel. Where is the spark? Where does it come from? Because it's quite innate to humans. All societies have done it, regardless of if they even knew of each other on this planet.
Yeah.
So it's something in a human thing. It's a human characteristic, a human thought, human expression. What is it, do you think?
I can't remember if it was Daniel Barenboim who said this, or I'm gonna get super emotional. Apparently, wow.
That's okay.
Someone said, oh, it wasn't Daniel Barenboim. I wish I had my quote book, because I remember the quote, but I have his face in my head, but I can't remember his name. He's a professor somewhere, and he was like, how would it be? What would life be like if I could just tell you what Beethoven's 7 means? Like, I could just say, oh, Beethoven's 7 is about blah, 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 and there's a guy and da-da-da. You wouldn't need Beethoven's 7. Like, you can't express certain things, like with the English language. There are certain things you can't express deep enough using that language. You would have to speak in German, or Greek would be a better language, because it's a lot more specific. Like Greek, the Greek word for love can be split into like love of a family member, love of a friend, love. So you would need a different language to explain love. But at a certain point, that language is even not good enough. You need, like, you can't express it. So then you express it through movement, or you express it through art, or you express it through sound.
So it's almost like the most fundamental form of expression could be music.
Yeah.
Because it is, as humans, we're quite obsessed, and naturally so, with patterns. We chunk stuff with our brain schemas as we set up that information in 3s and 4s. Hence why almost every time signature is either 3 or 4, or variation of the combination of them. 7, 11, it's still 4, 4, 3, or 4, 3. It doesn't really matter. And even doing a polyrhythm or polymeasure is still variations of that. And then melody is, well, we have pitch recognition because of our human voice. We speak to each other. And we also have it so we can understand other animals and knowing, like, that's not human.
Yeah.
Or a bird singing. So I think we combine those together after, hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years. And as soon as we started to manipulate tools, I think some of the first things we started to make were instruments based on that. Because we could have been able to hit, tap, and sing at least, 100,000 years ago. But as soon as we were able to pluck strings and pipes, I think instruments are probably some of the first things societies worried about and thought about, because it's also a great thing for connecting, leisure time, spiritual journeys. If people are taking psychedelics, playing music, having that around. But there's something weird, because I wonder when we first started to sing and why. Because it has, evolutionary speaking, it really has nothing to do with survival. It seems like a leisurely thing to do. I wonder what it could be.
Well, I mean, baby cries. That's a elongated tone.
That is true. A really brutal one. But yes.
Yeah. Actually, my old teacher, Mark, this is completely aside. Like you were saying, it's like the most fundamental thing that we would do. And so we were talking about, I started like kind of stretching before a lesson. He was like, does a gorilla stretch before he climbs a tree? And I was like, yeah, he yawns. Like when you yawn, you kind of like do that thing.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay.
He's like, you got me.
He's like, but yeah, it's a natural thing if it's what the body needs. And like a baby needs you to pay attention. It cries.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not a, what do you call it? An artificial kind of thing. Or, you find something that sounds like a bird and you're like, oh, this reminds me of a bird. And then you have a toy,
Yeah. Also, maybe mothers and fathers were singing to their kids too to soothe them. Something calming about a nice, pure tone.
Yep.
That has really nice overtones. It actually
Cats purr. Like you hear.
Yeah.
It's like, this is blowing my mind right now.
Howl. Why?
I was just like, nature sings in different
dogs
like
howl. Ooh. And most dogs who never howl their whole life, if you just go up to them and you start howling, they'll match your pitch and they'll howl with you. I have a dog I used to live with. Bo was his name. He would always do that. He would never howl at anything. He would never howl unless you did it. So if you never howled, he would go his whole existence with never howling. But the second you do it, he starts to do it and he matches it and almost has like the continuous like woo, and you do it too. And the more you do it, they do it more. It's weird.
Yeah.
And a lot of animals do forms of it. Yeah, I don't know. It's a form of expression, way of communicating, way of, again, maybe safety, soothing, knowing like if you know your mother's voice as a baby and she sings to you, it calms you down. And again, having that drone, there's vibrations. And if you're being held, the vibrations transduce across the body and they go across, Wow.
I like this. Subscribe.
Like, subscribe, share, post.
This is DZ Records.
I love the way you keep saying it. Like it's some underground college radio station in like the 90s. You're like, when you first went, like, welcome to DZ Records. Hello, I'm your DJ, Josh Jones. They call me JJ.
My grandma was a DJ, actually.
Really?
Yep. On my mom's side.
Whoa, that's rare.
DJ Lady Diane the Dove. Cannot remember the year, but it was back when they did like Chicago Steppers, like that era. Not the college, more of the step to the left, step to the back type stuff.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Do you know what era it could have been?
I can't remember.
60s, 70s?
Definitely 60s and earlier, probably.
Wow. That's wild.
Probably. I hope. Sorry, Mom. I can't remember.
You said grandma was?
Yeah.
And your mom's mom?
Yep.
Wow. From Chicago?
Yep.
Nice. That's great. Has your family been in Chicago for a while?
Yeah. Everybody's in Chicago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't here before. I lived in Hickory Hills before. So, have you heard of it? Yeah. Moved here a year ago. I've been here since last September. So I like it. I mean, I found a great spot. I can do my studio.
Yeah, this is great.
It's awesome. I have band practice. I record bands. I was recording earlier. Do this. Bands sleep here all the time. It's cool. And, well, you saw a little bit of upstairs, but yeah, no.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool spot. What neighborhood do you live in? You said by DePaul, but...
by DePaul.
Like Lincoln Park?
Up north of Lincoln Park. Yeah. North of
Lakeview?
Lincoln Park. I think.
I love how you don't know. You're like, I don't know where I
live.
live.
I'm up there somewhere. There are good restaurants. I know that.
Yeah, up there, great Indian, great Ethiopian. Demira. You've been there in Lakeview? Demira?
Not yet.
It's across the street from the Green Mill.
I think one of my old teachers wants to take us somewhere close to there, but I can't remember if it's that one.
Okay. Yeah, it's across the street from the Green Mill. Right by the Aragon Ballroom.
I love that area.
Have you played the Green Mill?
No.
You should.
Maybe one day.
You could. You do all these other things.
Yeah, but no one ever calls me for Green Mill. It's like...
Well, do you gig a lot with a bunch of like local bands and stuff?
No.
That's it. That's what it is. It's because I know a bunch of people who play. It's just like it's a lot of local artists doing it. So if you do that with your experience and notoriety, you could easily get in there.
Cool.
Yeah, you should do it. So you don't play in? Have you ever played in any bands like rock bands, indie bands, hip hop bands, jazz bands?
Nope. Just orchestra.
Huh? Why do you prefer that?
That's just where my opportunities were. Like we were kind of saying, if you have those connections, like Doug and Patsy were, like my first gig was a women's chorus gig where I had to play drum set because Patsy didn't want to do it. Or I guess they asked her and she was like, who'd really be good for this? So that was my first gig, playing drum set with the women's chorus. Yeah, so yeah, all the gigs were orchestra gigs, and it was never, drum set specific. Not that I couldn't do that, but
Are you interested in that, or do you not care? Not really intrigued.
Honestly, it really just depends on the time and the event. Like if someone called me to do drum sets somewhere, as long as it's not rock double bass stuff, I could probably do it. If it was double bass, I would need like 3 weeks to prepare probably and practice my left foot. But even then, I probably wouldn't take it because I don't know anything about rock, like heavy metal, that kind of stuff.
You don't need to. It's just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
I'm thinking about like screamo.
Yeah, you just do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but 30-second notes. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's the only difference. What inspired you to go into percussions? I know you said you were playing in your house, but like, why? What even before that got you into it?
So this is where we get to talk about Disney music.
Yeah, what's up with Disney music? You're 32 years old?
31. I'll be 32 in November.
Great. What day in November?
The 14th.
Nice. I'm December 14th, so.
Oh, nice.
1 month later. But 34. I'm older, so.
You look great.
Thank you. Did you think I was 32?
I didn't. I don't know. I was like, oh, this young guy has a studio. And what a young strapling man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm like 18. But yeah, sorry. I was asking you what got you into percussion.
So my family on my dad's side specifically is super musical. Of course, I have the grandma on my mom's side who was a DJ. My mom can sing, but she says she doesn't. She's the driver. That's what she'll always say. She just drives everybody every part.
So you can't sing and drive at the same time? It's like, Mom, you can also sing and drive.
So, yeah, dad's side was musical. So grew up in basically like non-denominational black church. Obviously, music is a huge, huge thing.
Yes.
And I just gravitated towards the drum set. Don't know why. When I was on my first birthday, and they probably still have the video somewhere. We got to find that VHS. VHS is everybody. There was a scene where I was eating cake, and then they turned the music on, and I stopped eating cake, and I was like rocking back and forth, and then the music would stop, and then I'd go back to eating cake. And they turned it back on, I would stop eating cake and rock back and forth, and then stop, So it was like, oh, something's going on over there with the music and that kid. And then when I was 3, my grandfather on my dad's side got me a Mickey Mouse drum set for Christmas, and I was just like, oh my God, a drum set! And like they couldn't get me off of that thing. Like I was just playing that drum set until the bass drum broke. I don't even think it had a pedal on it. I think it clicked the bass drum.
That's funny.
But it's so funny because I can still remember them opening the door and it was just sitting there. And I can remember the feeling of the plastic sticks with the little line where they like melt them together or they break it off or something. Like I can remember all of that. Yeah, like it's a very unique experience for me. So yeah, drums were always a part of that. As far as music specifically and kind of more niche classical, the scene in Lion King where Mufasa dies and Simba's like trying to wake him up. He was like, "Wake up, Dad." I think I was either 4 or 5. I woke up because I heard the television was on and it was playing. It like started right at the scene where it's like all foggy and misty, and you see Simba go like, "Dad, Dad," he's like running, and you start hearing the strings come in, and the choir goes, "Da, da, 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 da," and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is like the saddest thing ever." And I just kept hearing the music. And so I went over to go see why the TV was on. Like, why is somebody watching Lion King right now? It's like late. And it wasn't on. And I was literally staring at the television, and the music was just, that whole scene was just playing in my head as loud as, like, if the television was on. It would not stop. So, yeah. I don't know what that was. It was like a spiritual experience at 4 years old. Never forgot it, obviously. And that's one of the reasons I love playing movie music when we have to do it in film, movie with the orchestra for people. It's one of the reasons I got into classical, because I was like, oh, I could just do that all day.
Evoke tremendous amount of emotion from a score.
Yeah.
So you've done scores?
Yes.
How many?
I think my favorite one we did was Mary Poppins. That xylophone part.
Wait, the movie?
Yeah.
With Emily Blunt?
With Julie Andrews. Mary Poppins.
Was it the new one?
Oh, no. The old one.
So you didn't do the score, you just played along?
Oh, we played along for an audience. So we do like Harry Potter.
You see my confusion. I thought you did the newest score for the newest Mary Poppins.
Have not played an actual score yet.
Got it.
Only
oh my
played,
goodness. I was like, wait a minute. That's crazy. That's so cool. Did you like fly to LA to do that? Like, whoa.
You know, if they called, I would totally do that.
So you've done it like where some type of performance where they play the movie and you play what was played.
Yeah.
But you got
Or attempt to sometimes. Sometimes those tracks are like they transcribe what they think they heard sometimes. And then other times you're just like, how did they play this? Or they try to transcribe a gliss on a xylophone because they think they actually played the notes. And then things get weird. But we're not talking about that. So I've done Mary Poppins, a few Harry Potters, movie, Christmas movie, Home Alone.
And they'll play the whole movie. And you just come in and out when you play these. That's cool. Have you ever done like Star Wars?
I did Empire Strikes Back and cool. Return of the Jedi, I think.
Where do you do these at?
Oh, like I did Empire Strikes Back with Detroit. I want to say I might have done A New Hope with Calgary. I can't remember which one. Return of the Jedi, I think I did with Pittsburgh. Yeah, I can't remember all the orchestras. It's hard to keep track.
The next Chicago one you do, you got to let me know. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it's CSO, we played Frankenstein. Cool. It was a very short score for me. I think I only played one track or something. Or I can't remember how it worked out, but it was only like one thing and everything else was like MIDI or something. I can't remember how it worked out. But I remember I left very early that day.
What's your favorite score?
Oh, I'm going to get a lot of blowback for this.
You keep saying that. Who are all these people that are going to
My
be
partner. You know, okay, there's a few scores. Hunchback of Notre Dame.
The cartoon?
Yeah. That score is, they don't make scores like that anymore.
Really? It's that good. Who did it?
Alan Menken and, I can't remember the other, I can't remember if it was Tim Rice, but I know Alan Menken did that one. And they just gave him all the money. It was like, that choir.
I mean, that's back, what was that, the early 90s that came out? That's back when Disney was like crushing it. Yeah. It was like the only person in town to make animation movies. And people still went to the theaters and bought tons of VHS and DVDs weren't even a thing really yet.
Yep.
So like they made their money on the front end and the back end and at Disneyland.
The re-release. Open the vault.
Yeah. Oh, the 30th and the 50th gold anniversary of Fox Now. Like, all that stuff.
Oh man, that score.
I watched a lot of Disney movies growing up. A lot. I think we had every single one of them. Every single one of them on VHS. My sister had 50 or 60 of them. I think I remember the ones we didn't have, and it was like the rare ones, like the Black Cauldron, like ones that people don't really know about. Dumbo, not really Dumbo. What's the other one? Not the Adventurers.
Oh, the Rescuers.
The Rescuers.
Rescuers Down Under is probably the only good second sequel.
Yeah, the Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah.
Down Under.
Such a oh my god.
What other ones? There's a couple ones that are still not that. There were ones that were more live action.
Yeah.
In like the 50s and 60s. Like the one I saw a lot, Pollyanna.
Mm-hmm.
Pollyanna. Yeah, I don't know. Watch just tons of Disney movies because, again, I also grew up in a non-denominational Christian church. We were not allowed to watch
most things.
pretty much anything but PG and under, which is funny because there's some PG movies that are like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That's a PG movie.
That's a PG movie.
Kind of should be a PG-13 movie.
And, how times have changed.
Oh, it's kind of funny. But then, what else? Yeah, we didn't have cable. Didn't watch those kind of movies. So I grew up watching, a ton of Disney stuff and a ton of movies like that, things of that world. A lot of corny stuff, too.
Yeah.
Because it was like, direct-to-video, PG movies, like corny church movies.
Bible Man.
What's that, the donut dude that talked? Do you remember that guy?
Oh,
the guy, and there was the guy who brought him in with the mustache.
Yeah,
it was really corny.
That
and
one.
The donut puppet. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. I can't think of the
So
name.
ridiculously corny, but yes. What was that name? Rusty? No, I don't know. That one, the Buttercream Game. I remember that one. Tons of movies of like church-related movies or movies about that one guy. The drawing, the cartoon character. What was that one? Man. The Page Master. Remember the Page Master?
That score is it's a good score. Not my favorite, but it's a good score.
Yeah. Page Master. I bet you John Williams did that one. For some reason I could just see him
yeah, I can see him doing that.
Me
that's
too.
That's a definitely Casper.
That movie made me cry. Casper.
I
could talk 80s and 90s corny like G and PG movies forever.
Brave Little Toaster.
Don't.
That score. I literally was talking about that at DePaul with somebody.
Toaster.
Kyle. I was talking to Kyle at DePaul about Brave Little Toaster, and we were just talking about that. The main theme in the beginning, it just sounds like Debussy or something. Like it's how
Brave Little Toaster, the Nutcracker, Fievel Goes West.
American Tail is probably my
American Tail.
It's probably my favorite cartoon movie ever.
Really?
It's a perfect movie. Like, I think that's a perfect movie.
Okay. That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
What about Iron Giant? That's a pretty amazing animated movie.
Oh yeah, man. Like, oh my freaking yeah.
You're excited about this.
Yeah,
I'm getting going.
Yeah, I love.
What do you think of the Disney movies and Pixar movies now?
I'm
Struck a nerve.
I'm an old. Yeah, I like the '90s, and it was sad because when I saw I was gonna say I saw Let It Go in theaters. I saw whatever the movie's called, Frozen. I saw Let It Go in theaters. So yeah, I realized when that came out, like Disney would never be the same. Like it wasn't because it's that musical, like Broadway musical sound now. It's not that like kind of not grungy, but like that cassette tape sound, that VHS tape sound. You kind of still had it with Tarzan, even though it was like a little more processed because Phil Collins, and it wasn't like the same vibe.
You're thinking like Little Mermaid and like Aladdin?
Yeah, like it wasn't that. It's never going to be that sound anymore.
Lion King.
Yeah. So,
everybody look left.
Yeah. So that's where I was like, yeah. And the same thing with like Encanto, I think it was called. Yeah. Like great story, great movie, music. I could, it's a different sound, and it's not, it's different. It's like rap now. You don't have the same like, huh, hey, ho, ho, you have more like,
it's not the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. So things have evolved.
Then I was going down the street.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
To go get this and wash my feet. It's not like that's so like 80s, but hip hop rap now is interesting because it is on a far wide spectrum from like the trap stuff to like we're in that world of like I don't know what they're saying. Like literally they're speaking English, but I don't know what they're saying, which is fine. It doesn't really do as much for me. I'm much more into stuff that is evoking a little bit more, not just about like partying or like pop culture, being in the now, but more talking about things, problems, political, emotional. But I enjoy some fun stuff too. There's a lot of really fun R&B stuff out now, where mostly like the women that are in it, with how much they're leaning into like sexual lyrics, which is a much newer thing in a broad scope of pop culture. I think it's always been a thing, but now it's really acceptable and okay. So I kind of enjoy that because I'm like, men have had this forever. Like we've been people have been singing about this forever. It's like women should have it too. Like why not? It's stupid to like we get it and you don't. But so I'm enjoying that because it's like nice to see that's happening. It's also just like it's funny, like not in a bad way. It's just like funny when the lyrics are so on the nose. Yeah, it makes me like laugh. You know, like WAP. You know, it just makes me like laugh. It's just like so in your face. And it's clever, it's very clever stuff. You're like, this is goofy. Like, but I'm gonna sing it and it's funny. And I'm kind of glad that people get mad at it. And like it makes me laugh. Like, who cares? Don't listen to it then. Like, whatever. I don't know. I also don't have kids, so I guess, same. I don't even know what it would be like. He doesn't care, or she doesn't care what you listen to. Does the dog react to different things, like musically? No.
Like I played when we first got her, I played this loud Prokofiev thing, and she was just sleeping through it. It's like, whatever. There's
man,
crazy brass going on. Yeah.
So, Disney movies, you really, really enjoy.
Yes, absolutely.
Still to this day?
To this day, really? I can still sing all the lyrics of most of these songs.
I think I could too. If you played it, I'd be right there. Because again, when you have them hit you as a kid. And again,
like the ABCs at this point.
Kids who are listening, there was no streaming services in the 90s. You either owned the movie or you went to Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, or Family Video, or a friend lent it to you. Like, that's it. So you would rewatch stuff a lot. Just like how people rewatch and binge. I'm going to rewatch that show. We did the same thing, but it was with Aristocats or Fox and the Hound, you know?
I just realized something about the new Disney movies. So, okay, back in the day, like you would have the Aladdin movie, and you have the movie version of the song and the album version of the song. Now it's like you hear the album version in the movie. And it's so off. It puts me off so much because it's like they're singing the I Want song, but I hear nothing in the actual environment. Like she's making all these ice sculptures and I don't hear a balance of ice sculpture and your voice. It's just like everything else is turned down.
Do you think they did that to like because of this notion of like fast tracking everything, keeping it all concise? And I don't like why.
I don't know. I think they might have just were like, oh, we're trying to amplify the person singing. And I'm like, but at the same time, you're breaking the immersion because they're, you know, it's like it's very subtle. And you know, if you have those ears, you hear like everything go into studio mode in the theater, and you're just like, why is everything getting a lot more compressed?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the remakes? Like the most recent Lion King?
You know,
that's a big thing.
I wanted them to work. The only one that I really liked was Jungle Book. That was a really interesting way of updating it.
I enjoyed that one too. It was funny.
Very funny.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated what they did with that one.
What about I haven't seen The Little Mermaid.
I heard it was good. I don't want to see it still yet. I want to wait until I just happen upon it.
Yeah.
But I heard it was good. Thank God. Yeah. Oh man, the Aladdin one made me so mad.
Oh my God, it was terrible.
I didn't even want to. I just wanted to see one scene. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just wanted to see one scene from the Aladdin movie, and that was the snake fight.
Yeah, it was bad. The Aladdin one.
If you haven't seen the movie,
I had to watch it because Aladdin was like my favorite of all of them. I mean, that came out. I mean, I was born in '89. That came out, I think, '92. Was the first one.
I was going to say 92.
Return of the Jafar was probably like 93 or 94. And then
I'm looking out for me.
King of Thieves was like 95, 96. They kind of did them quickly. I loved all of them. But the first one, I mean, it's huge, and huge for my sister. We had, you know, the blankets and everything, and I watched that movie so many times. I loved Robin Williams.
Yeah.
You know, he was the best genie you could have ever had.
You can't. Will did his thing.
Will Smith does a lot of things.
He does a lot of things. But yeah, I just wanted to see the snake fight because I thought it would look cool on the big screen. I was on a plane, I don't know where, and I was like, oh, Aladdin's there. I'm just going to fast forward to that because that's all I want to see. I want to see the snake fight. Was there a snake fight? No. They just made Iago big. You had how much money?
Yeah,
I was so mad.
They need to stop remaking them and just make new stuff. Just hire some good writers.
There's so many good stories that haven't been told yet.
There's endless stories that haven't been told. There's technically no end to how many different stories you can tell. Just like there is no end to how many different songs you can make. Now are they gonna have recurring themes, just like are they gonna have recurring key signatures and tempos? Sure. But what you can do and layer within it and around it will alter that to the layman's ear. They won't know any better. Same with music, same with movies, same with books, same with comedy, same with all art. It's gonna pull a little bit from some stuff, but if you do the right combinations and the formula's right, you will mask the obvious things that are, you know, common themes. You can have the element of surprise, you can have some twists. Pixar has done a pretty decent job. They have a couple misses. Soul, I thought, was amazing.
Soul's great.
I loved Soul. Inside Out.
Inside Out.
So sad.
Go see it.
But Onward was okay. It was fine.
I didn't see that one.
It wasn't bad, and it wasn't great. It was like, this is fine, you know? Coco was pretty cool. I enjoyed Coco.
Yeah, Coco was, it was good.
The last one, was it Enchanted? What was the last?
No, I can't remember.
The Good Dinosaur was also okay.
Oh, God, that's... Oof.
What?
We thought, okay, so me and my sister has a son, and we were thinking, oh, we'll just watch a movie to kill the time. We were like, oh, this looks cute. Good Dinosaur. And if you don't know anything about the Good Dinosaur, it's just like, it looks cute, and then the first bad thing happens, and the second bad thing, and the third, it just...
That is what I've realized about Pixar is they are heavy. Most of them are pretty heavy movies.
Yeah.
Like, not all of them, but like 2/3 are like kind of sad and mature, but the kids don't get it.
Yeah.
So it's to appease the adults. Get anybody in the mid-range to get them thinking, like teenagers. You can kind of get a lot of it, but not all of it, because they haven't been adults, haven't dealt with like serious stuff, death, not achieving your goals, resenting people. Like, they don't know about that yet, but they could think heavily. And then kids who don't get any of it, and they just laugh at all the cool stuff and the colors and the textures.
Yeah,
and the
it's like, why are we watching Grave with the Fireflies right now?
They're trying to, like, I think trying to get cast a wide net for those.
Yeah.
And it works because Up, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
These movies are so sad, but if you're a kid, you're like, don't get...
This is cute, balloons.
Yeah. I was watching
There's
Up.
a dog.
I was watching Up yesterday with my niece. She's 2. And she didn't get any of it, but she's just like laughing and giggling. Yeah. And I'm like, this is sad. None of it makes nothing. So it works. Their movies work, but if you're an adult, you're like, man, this is pretty sad. But
yeah,
I hope they don't botch it. I hope they keep trying to spin out
Pixar, if you're listening to this, you're doing great. We love you.
Pixar, if you're listening to this, you should probably retire Toy Story.
Yeah, they should have ended with 3.
Yeah. 4 was fun.
4 was fine and unnecessary
what 4 did well,
for me.
Though, was the CGI animation was so good. Like,
yeah.
The animation was, I think, the best I've ever seen in a movie ever. Like, better than all the movies I've ever done. 4 was, when it rains, the first scene when they're showing the house in the rain, they're outside and trying to get the car out of the little gutter. The rain looks like rain.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, it's raining in the movie. It looks so real. I can't believe it. And I don't think there's ever been a computer-generated animated film like that good. But it's like Toy Story. They can put the most money into it. The best animators, you know. What about Pinocchio? Have you seen Pinocchio?
I haven't. And actually, you know, funny.
It was good. I liked it a lot.
The original Pinocchio, my favorite scene was the clock scene. Like just... like all the different time signatures happen at the same time. Ding,
Oh, yeah.
ding, 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 ding. Like I have it on my phone right now. Apparently, my mom said I watched that tape until it broke. Like that was my movie. Apparently, random aside. But yeah, toys. I know
it's a good score one is Fantasia.
Yes.
The original one from what, the 40s, 42, 47, 40 something.
The newer one's fine.
What about Fantasia
beautiful.
2000? Is that the one?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Not the the human stuff is like I could do without.
Ooh, I know a movie that was really cool. Do you remember The Great Mouse Detective?
Yes, that score is amazing.
That movie's awesome.
They'll never re-release it though because of one scene.
Why?
Let me be good to the striptease scene with the with the blue.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Right?
I think that came out in the late 80s, 88.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it since I was probably
movie.
10. But I used to love it. It freaked me out. That movie's freaky.
Yeah.
It's dark. It's weird.
Great movie.
So wait.
If they re-released
elaborate on that scene because I can't remember it.
Well, that's the thing. If they could, like they do this with their movies
Was
across
that Disney?
Yeah.
It was.
But they do similar things like with Lilo and Stitch. There's a scene where Lilo's in the hides in the laundry dryer, and so they changed it when they re-released it on DVD to her hiding behind a pizza thing because
they want kids to go in the dryer.
Exactly. So they could do something similar with like changing the scene to like her just singing and not actually stripping.
Was she like?
She's literally stripping on stage.
Oh my!
It was like
God.
a boot.
I can't believe they put that into a kids movie, even in the like at any time. Really, it doesn't really matter the era. Like.
Yeah,
man, they were all on coke.
I forget
That's what it was.
Not boudoir.
They had to have been on coke, right?
I can't remember. Hey, yeah, boys, on the house. I can't remember what they asked for too, but yeah, he was searching for the bat. That's Radigan's henchman.
I haven't heard. I gotta.
Radigan.
Yeah.
Here's
Oh
your
my God.
Tops,
these
and
movies.
that's that.
I haven't seen them in so
Dun,
long.
dun, dun. I have that on my phone too. Dun, 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 dun. Like it's classical.
Another good one. I don't think it's Disney, but it is such a trippy movie and also kind of like mature. Is what is it called? Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, Toontown.
Great movie.
Wild concept.
Yeah,
Cool
and there's a really good breakdown of some of the scenes of that movie when you're first getting into it with whoever the guy's the detective. I wish I remembered. Yeah, I wish I remembered the channel on YouTube because it's a really good channel. It shows you like all the little Easter eggs that give you clues about what kind of detective this guy is. You see like a different, like it's so cool. It's kind of like a Coraline type deal.
That movie's amazing.
Oh yeah, like I'm still finding Easter eggs from TikTok. Like it's crazy.
In Coraline,
yeah,
they do that a lot.
Oh yeah, like the lore in Coraline is super deep on TikTok. Apparently,
really?
Yeah.
The people are gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh, cool, they're talking about drums," and then there's an hour of Disney, like kids,
talk about drums,
kids movies. Okay, listen, drums. You bang on them. You do it in a certain time
it's easy,
and tempo.
it's
That's
super,
it.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
Buy my book, okay?
Can you find them on Amazon?
No.
¿Por qué?
Easier for me.
Oh, really? Why?
Probably royalties and stuff. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. It's
like
just
Amazon's the ultimate place. It literally started as a online bookstore.
I'm sure, but I think it was easier for me to go like a legit publisher, and they just do everything in house. So
that's cool, though. How did you get hooked up with a publisher?
My old teacher, Mark. So Mark was friends or is friends with another drummer named Joseph Tompkins, and he writes French rudimental etudes or French American rudimental etudes, and his books are produced.
What's an etude for those who don't know?
An etude is a short piece of music that you play. It's like a study of different rhythms or, basically a study of rhythms. It's usually very short, and depending on what composer you're playing, it could be long and hard,
or
short and difficult.
One of the biggest things I've noticed about highly trained musicians is they say things and explain all these technical things and never explain what they are. They just say them as if the world... Yeah, not making fun of you. I've noticed it's like really funny. It's like a thing, people who are like really into music, like, and then that, and it's part of this thing, and it's part
a portamento.
And I'm like, you realize they're naming Latin words, and I'm like, no, people don't know this. Like, it is such a niche world.
Yeah.
And because of that, the inverse happens where, because it's so niche, you get so immersed in it because you have to for college and for your job that it's all you know. Like, you know, it's so out. Inside and outside, it's like a language you could speak, literally, music theory. But everyone else on the planet, the other 99% of everyone, has no idea what any of these things mean. And whenever I'm talking to someone, I always got to let them know, like, sometimes I don't say anything. I think it's funny. I'm like, no one knows what you're talking about.
Etude is the same thing as a song. Like learning a song.
That's it. I learned a song. Etude.
Yeah, it's like a song. It's like ABCs. It's an ABC type song.
Got it.
It's not like a Jingle Bells type song.
Okay.
A Jingle Bells type song would be like a concerto, or singing Whitney Houston would be a concerto. Yeah, that's a pretty good. Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll take that. I'll take that. Pat my back. I'll take that. So how did you get hooked up with the publisher?
So Joe Tompkins gets his books produced by Bakovich. So I started writing some French rudimental etudes, which ended up being my fourth book. And he was like, Mark was like, you should send these to Bakovich because Joe Tompkins writes French rudimental.
And Joe Tompkins is a teacher?
Yes, he teaches at the New School of Music.
In New York?
Yep.
Yeah.
And plays around places.
And who's Bakovich, you said?
Yeah, Bakovich Publications. I don't know.
Is it Polish, German, Belarusian?
I have no idea.
It's got to be could be Polish.
I just know they publish books in New York.
It's Eastern European. I know that much. I'm trying to figure it out. That's cool. Have you been there?
No.
No?
Have yet to go to New York for that.
Let's go crashing. They're like, yo, he's published there. I'm just for the ride. But like, we should be able to come in and do whatever we want.
I do need to go to New York again because there's so many people I need to see again in New York.
It's too many people. Wild city.
Yeah.
I love it there. It's a great time.
So,
have you been there to perform? Or?
Yes, I performed at a hall in Carnegie Hall. I can't remember what the hall was called.
I performed at a hall in Carnegie Hall. You know, you could just lie and say you performed at Carnegie Hall. Because you're not lying, actually.
Yeah, that's the short version is,
because if you performed at Carnegie Hall, you're performing at a hall in Carnegie Hall. So
yeah, like, it was for the From the Top taping of, I can't remember what day, but I was on From the Top 3 times or 4. I can't remember how many times. From the Top.
That sounds like a beautiful performance, though. It
was lovely. I played rhythm song. And for those who don't know what rhythm song is, it's a song that's just, it just sounds like for 11 minutes on a marimba. Yeah, it's just and then the ending is and that's rhythm song on marimba.
It kind of reminds me of the 2008 Beijing Olympic opening. Have you seen it?
I have not. Oh, I have not, but
it's so cool.
Yeah.
It is like precision like you've never seen. Because it's like, how do you get 1,000 people to hit it? I think it's like their version of a timpani.
Mm-hmm. Taiko drums.
All at the same time. Like, they're hitting at the same time. Like, you could be 500 feet away and you're somehow hitting at the exact same time a guy. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how you do that, to be honest. That's so hard to, like, get that precise and on time. And it's so cool. It's organized. I don't know. It's awesome. Remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Inspirational. It's 9/11 today.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? I think we briefly talked about that when you first got here. Did we?
I don't even remember.
Maybe we didn't. I think I've talked about it a couple times today, so I don't even know if I even talked about it. That's crazy, though, right? Do you remember it, where you were?
At school, and then I wasn't at school. Like, I remember getting there, and then
fourth grade, right?
Beasley Academic Center. I can't even remember.
Because I think if you turned 32 in November, so you're born in 91?
Yep.
And I turned, so you would have been in fourth grade because I was in sixth grade. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy, 22 years ago.
Yeah.
That was a really messed up, terrifying thing to see. Yeah. Wow. Somber note.
Yeah.
And nothing's been the same since.
Nothing has been the same since.
I can't believe that you used to be able to just go to the airport and your friend, like you can go to the airport right now. If it's 2000, the year 2000, I could just go with you.
Well, yeah,
walk up to the gate with you.
I don't think I was ever in an airport before then.
Well,
so
just look at the movies and shows. Seinfeld.
Well, that's true.
You know, George walks with Jerry to the gate. Any show, anything, anytime there's a movie or show showing it, people just like go to the gate with each other. There's no TSA. I think there was probably a small amount of security. Like you probably do go through a metal detector, but that's it. And then you just keep going. I don't even know, but it was really, really minimal, and anyone can go with. You didn't just need a ticket to go. You just couldn't get on the plane without a ticket. Yeah. But like your friends and family can go with you.
Yeah.
Because I used to go when my sister flew before that. I remember going to O'Hare Airport and walking up and chilling by the gate with her before she left. And like, that's it. And you just leave. And now you couldn't.
Not anymore.
Which is good, but I can't believe they weren't doing that already.
Yeah.
That's what confuses me.
I kind of feel the same about COVID. Like, you're in a doctor's office where sick people go, and you're just there. You don't think about like, oh, there's a lot of sick people at the doctor's office. I don't think about germs, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a heightened awareness that in some ways you took for granted, and in other ways it's like it was nice that you didn't have that heightened awareness. It's like being a kid.
Yeah.
Kinda, you know?
Ignorance is bliss. It's that kind of thing. Yeah. I mean,
its goods and its bads.
Yeah, when you hear about our parents and like how they might have navigated or traveled. I mean, my mom or dad will always be like, hey, that's before they gave you DUIs. They just put you in the drunk tank overnight and like give you like a ticket and let you go. Or like slap you on the wrist, you know, like it's like, really? For like being hammered and driving? Like now you get a DUI. Like everyone does who does it, you know? Very little exception to the rule. Yeah, and flying. It's just to be like, wait, they didn't check anything? That's how people were smuggling the drugs and weapons so much back in the day. It's like, wait. So people were flying commercially since like, I think the 40s or 30s. And it took them 70 years to like actually check
like, hey,
thoroughly.
We should probably look for this.
Like this is a flying bomb in the sky.
Yeah.
Filled with tens of thousands of gallons of jet fuel. Like this is no joke. Yeah, I don't know. It's bizarre how reactive our protocols are, not proactive. Railroads, car accidents with the seatbelts.
Yeah.
For
it's like we
millions of people would have lived if they had seatbelts.
Exactly. It's like
they had the knowledge of engineering for the physics of a car, but they couldn't think of the physics of when a car crashes. Like, really? It's like, I don't know. I almost felt like deliberate, gross negligence, you know? Yeah, same with I just finished that show, Painkiller. Have you heard about it?
I haven't.
Have you heard of it on Netflix? It's about Oxycontin, the pill that's the painkiller, and the Sacklers are the family who like kind of created and had Purdue Pharma. It's evil. It's a brutal show. It's good, but it was like brutal and sad, and just it made me really mad that people go to jail for like selling mushrooms or weed, or anything like that. But then because Big Pharma found a way to do it legally, they're okay, and they can make billions just fine. They have so much control in politics.
Capitalism. Here we are.
Yeah, we're back full circle. Capitalism. Play drums, everyone. Play music. Man, what time is it?
7:30.
Is it really?
Yep.
Wow. We've been talking for a bit. Look at that. You said you
talk about movies and,
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about movies forever. I'm a big movie person, but I haven't watched those Disney movies we mentioned in forever, like since that era.
Yeah.
I probably stopped around 12 or 13. And I haven't really watched them since, but I remember them all so well because I watched them so much in that time, over and over again. Do you see like Barbie or Oppenheimer?
I want to see Barbie. I heard it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, which is great. I'm glad it is exactly what I thought it was going to be.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
So I have yet to see it. Have not seen Oppenheimer. Do not want to see Oppenheimer.
Oh, really? You don't want to see it?
Yeah, just because I knew it was going to be what it is. And a lot of the things, it glosses over necessary voices in that time period, like landowners who had, I can't remember the whole thing, but yeah, it tells a certain side of the story.
Well, yeah, I mean,
of course, which is like fine.
Yeah,
I'm sure the actor, who I absolutely love, did a great job. He probably did. You know, so it's a movie I don't need to see.
I loved it. It was amazing. It was wild. It was very overwhelming.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a dark subject matter, and it's the point of a movie like that it's not possible in 2.5, 3 hours to show the Germans, the Japanese, Americans, English, French, like what everyone's experienced through that. It's like, that's if it was picked up for HBO for a whole limited series. Then you can do that stuff.
Yeah.
But when it's just a movie, that's the problem with movies. It's the pros and cons of movies. They're like a snippet of what happens. But then what I like now that enough movies have been made in history, especially like the last 30 years of high quality content, you can watch Dunkirk. Have you seen Dunkirk? Which the opposite opposing to that is The Darkest Hour, which came out the same year. But then you can watch Saving Private Ryan, and then you can watch The Thin Red Line. You can watch all these World War II movies, and actually, in one movie, they couldn't get all the stuff.
Yeah.
But you put them together, and you actually have your own miniseries of it. The same is true with like 1917 and All Is Quiet on the Western Front. Great and then movie. The documentary that Peter Jackson did, They Should Not Grow Old, about World War I. So if you watch all three of those, then you get German side, American side, and then the objective historical looking back at it, not cinematic, because it's supposed to be a documentary. So like that's what I like about it. That's like what Oppenheimer did. If you take that and you watch it along with all the other movies, it tells another section of it. Because if you wanted to get everyone's experience, which is another valid point, it's like then I need 20 episodes.
Yeah.
You know, because there's not enough time to just do all that. It's so much to have enough attention to detail. It's also very creative. It's very played on the psychological stress that he went through. It was mostly just focusing. That's why it's called up, just on him and like what he went through having to do that, and he felt awful about it, and nobody cared, and the politics loved that they won. Like again, playing on capitalism and politics and about winning, and he was just like I become, I
have become death.
Death, destroyer of the worlds,
Some cried, some laughed, some were in silence.
Yeah, at some point in your life, you find yourself watching it. It was a pretty remarkable, visually, sonically, score, all that was just beautiful.
I don't know if I'm in a place I can see that right now. But, yeah, there's some movies like you see it once. You only need to see it once. It's
I like the dark ones that provoke it, and I like to feel it. I like to remind myself why it's important that we don't ever do this again.
Yes,
that's kind of what it was.
Yeah,
because it's like if he felt that and he lived, what did the rest of the world in Japan and Hiroshima and Nagasaki? What did they feel?
Yeah, part of me is like I don't want to see it because I know I'm going to get angry about like we haven't apologized for this. Like this is one thing.
Yeah, I don't know about
no.
Yeah, yeah, and it is dark because it also shows how ruthless people are in war. Like what they do. Like there's a scene, spoiler, in the movie where they're kind of trying to figure out what cities to drop it on, and one of the higher generals, 3, 4-star generals, just with no feelings at all, just kind of like, well, not Osaka. I think it's Osaka. I think he's like, not there because my wife and I honeymoon there. It's a nice place to visit, so we won't do that one. And he just but like doesn't care. It's just because he's been there before and he liked it. So not that one. Let's pick Port.
Yeah. See, I'm already getting.
But like that's just they did that here, and guess what? Other countries did that when doing stuff to us or to like it.
Yep.
That's what All Is Quiet on the Western Front did.
Yeah.
It put you in the shoes of. Because we're always like, those Germans. It's like, wait a minute, what is it like to be that?
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, the generals did that, but the other ones were doing it too. Like, you think the generals in Japan, when they bombed Pearl Harbor, and killed all those people and innocent people, like, do you think they weren't also thinking of those things? Like, it's just chess, and we need money. And regardless of going back about why they were provoked to do it, because of us throttling the oil, to Japan. It's complicated, right? I don't have all the answers. I'm not a strategic military person.
Only more
I'm
questions.
just saying that it's complicated, and both sides are doing stuff. Sometimes nefarious, sometimes with no remorse. Sometimes they feel bad, but they have to. Sometimes they're following orders. Both sides are doing it, and both sides have their takes on it. But yeah, it's an evil, awful, terrible game that I wish we didn't have to play, at all.
I like drums.
That's all
drums. I want to play.
I like drums. Besides Whiplash, what are some other good?
Drumline.
Yeah, Drumline's good.
I think so. It's corny as
you just said
so
it because you're
corny.
Like Drumline.
There's Drumline, There's
Is that with what's his name?
Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon, isn't he like I hear his name a lot, and I don't think
he has a lot of kids. That's all.
That's it. That's why people.
He has the show. Yeah, Wild 'N Out. That's it.
Wild 'N Out. Okay.
And he went after Eminem once.
Why?
I think he just wanted notoriety.
Oh, okay.
If you want to get noticed, you go after Eminem as a rapper.
I feel like it's hard to go after Eminem.
That's the thing. Everybody knows they're going to lose.
Yeah, because
the whole thing is just like...
He's like a serious rapper and has gotten highly...
Yeah, it's like going after Mike Tyson or Floyd Mayweather. Like, you only do it to get noticed.
Yeah.
You're not going to win.
No, you can't win. You can't win against the best fighters ever.
Yeah, no.
Even a lot of, highly renowned hip-hop artists and rappers go like, Eminem's serious.
Yeah, Snoop's like, oh yeah, Eminem's family. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, you're all in the same album. But also Snoop, come on.
Drumline, Whiplash.
Whenever they do my documentary, that'll be a good one.
Nice. Yeah, you can have a doc about yourself.
I have 2 mini docs.
Nice.
Randomly.
Who made them? What was
the first one was From the Top for the TV spot, and then the second one was done by Uprocks. It's called Detroit's Percussionist Mastermind.
Whoa!
Back when I was at the Detroit Fellowship.
That's awesome. Where can people find those?
YouTube.
Really?
My website.
Same again. So one's called Detroit.
Detroit Percussionist Mastermind on YouTube, and then the From the Top one, you have to dig deep on that From the Top PBS spot.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a children's education portion of PBS where you can find it. Yeah, you have to dig deep though.
Okay.
It's old.
That's pretty cool. When were those made?
Ooh, the From the Top one was probably, when I was 15. So, yeah, probably
15. How'd they find you at 15?
So something Percussion Scholarship Program does, we always have to record for different competitions or things like that. And From the Top was one of the things we always had to send in tapes for every year, because that's just what Doug and Patsy wanted us to do. So when I went to Interlochen, I auditioned for the radio spot, did the radio spot. They loved it. They were like, we should have you out for the TV spot. And that's how I got to Carnegie Hall.
The Hall in Carnegie Hall.
The Hall in Carnegie Hall.
What is your favorite venue you've performed at or played?
Grant Park.
Grant Park?
Yeah.
Where the Bulls would stand for their trophies?
Oh, I have no idea. But Millennium Park.
Oh, Millennium Park.
The Grant Park Festival Orchestra plays at the Pritzker Pavilion.
So that's where you play. You don't play at the Grant Park Pavilion that's facing, where Lollapalooza is? You play at the Millennium?
Definitely not.
Okay.
They used to play over there. And people who are still there, who were there when they played back at Grant Park, they were like, oh man, that hall was terrible.
Yeah. No, the Millennium Park one's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's cool.
Man.
I've been to some really cool shows there.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite one. Detroit's probably a second. That hall is gorgeous.
Really?
The sound specifically.
Really?
Yeah. It's
acoustically they did it right.
Yeah. And sorry.
Honestly, I think that Chicago Symphony Orchestra's sound is just okay.
Yeah.
I've heard better ones. And
the hall specifically. I love Chicago Symphony.
No, I love the symphony's amazing. but the hall could be better. It's a little bland.
Yeah.
It's a little dull. I don't know why. For how prestigious that crew is, literally internationally, it's like, what if put some money into the, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the dying art and the aging out of the orchestra and classical music? Because not a lot of young people really,
and that's the thing. My partner and I talk about this all the time. It's just the orchestras that are talking about, or not even talking, they're playing. Okay, so Jojo Mayer again. I'm going to quote Jojo Mayer again, the drummer from Nerve. Music should be a representation of art in its time. So as new composers come with their different experiences presenting to the audience, orchestra should be promoting and playing those types of music along with the historical things, like Shostakovich. Like Shostakovich is always great at wartime, unfortunately. But Shostakovich is a composer.
I know who he is, but
Shostakovich is a composer. He was very angsty, wrote about how much he hated war, and his music is so great. The Fourth Symphony is so depressing. Don't listen to that one. Or do,
So you're saying that they should play more modern stuff?
Yeah, they should. It should be a combination of both, where you present the new modern things that people can relate to, like, what's his name? Joel Thompson's 7 Last Words of the Unarmed. Like, it's basically a piece that puts the 7 last words of certain black people who were killed by police to music. One movement is Mom, I'm Going to College. Like,
yeah.
And that's the whole movement. It's just singing over. Like,
Why don't they play new stuff? Because think about it.
Capitalism.
It's the only musical form. Like, they're just glorified cover bands.
Yeah.
Like, you go to a music venue, when you go to the Aragon Ballroom for a night, you're seeing new music from a new band.
Yeah.
You're not seeing someone do a cover of Elvis from 1958 or Buddy Holly. It makes no sense. Why are you still playing music from 400 years ago? It's the only art form that does it.
Probably the same reason why they're doing remakes of the same movies. Like, those were great for...
Why'd you say capitalism is...
So, the way it works in this, some symphonies is that you have a lot of people who pay a lot of money for the symphony to, keep running, and they love Beethoven 7. And every year you play Beethoven 7 because this one donor loves Beethoven.
Donated $5 million.
Yeah. And maybe some of the donors aren't as, liberal as, the people in the orchestra. So you probably won't play 7 Last Words of the Unarmed because these people are Republicans.
Sound like a bunch of losers. Grow up. Play something new.
And there have been, I won't say which orchestras, but there have been some orchestras who used to have certain people speak at their events, and then the people would say something slightly liberal, like, I don't know, this city is an pro-abortion city. And that could be a fact. And they're like, oh, we can't have them here anymore because the donor didn't like that they said abortion was a good thing. It's like...
So if you get rid of the donors, put in modern composers and just treat it like a concert, people go spend $40 to go.
Exactly.
Then you're good. Because we don't have to worry about that when you go to your rock concerts and your
but the
alternative rock
and
concerts.
The problem is they're like, how are we going to recoup that $5 million dono? It's like, dono. I'm talking in YouTube speak now. It's like,
you definitely got to take donors and their special interests out of it because that keeps
same
it
thing
outdated and old.
Politics.
Oh God, don't even get me started.
So right. It's great when you have an orchestra where the donors, the community, the management, all are like in the same vibe. Like Seattle. Seattle is a great town. Their whole season is like really cool. Minnesota is another one. It's cool when it works, when the institution represents the community, and it has the community in mind. Alas, not every orchestra has that. So it looks like 1950 with like one black person.
Right. Yeah. It's so whitewashed, the orchestral classical music world. Yeah, they need to get that out of there. They need to diversify. They need to get some more more minorities, more women, and less old people and less old money.
Yeah, less old money.
I don't want to see the names on the wall who don't. I don't want to see the companies. When I see
that's
these
the
tech
other
firms
thing.
and these finance firms and CSO, when I see their firm names on there, I'm like, what is that doing there? Like, this is supposed to be amazing, traditional, like awesome art, telling, hundreds of years of stories in this.
This is why I really like Grant Park, because we've always done, well, even before I was principal, they've always had a combination of the classics that everybody likes, like your Beethoven 5, your Shostakovich 10, and then newer music of people, underrepresented groups, deep contextual pieces. The last concert we did had a lot to do with like the pains of war. So I think it was a Shostakovich 8 and I forget what the other piece was. It might have just been Shostakovich 8, but like, things that actually matter, has a reason for being programmed and not just let's play the greatest hits. Like I can hear the greatest hits on my DVD, not DVD, but on my DVD player if I have a DVD player with a CD-ROM. Like
you're also gonna hear the greatest hits on Spotify.
Hate Spotify. I'm a Pandora fan.
Really?
Yeah.
You're old school.
Yeah.
Why Pandora?
It's just better.
Is
also, because like I would make a playlist on Spotify and they would keep adding music to my playlist.
Well, you can change that feature.
I can't find it.
I can show you.
Please, like
they have two features where one allows you to keep just the raw playlist, and then one allows you to where you allow them based on the algorithm of the playlist to kind of put some stuff on there too if you want.
Yeah, I can't stand that.
And you don't have to do that. You can opt out of it. Like it's all completely customizable and modular, and you can move stuff around.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I still don't use it.
No, I get it. We have to remember, I tell this to everyone who has a problem with like iTunes or Spotify. I'm like, you realize like these are like the top ones in the world. They clearly have it all figured out. And they've been listening to constant feedback for like the last decade of their existence. So like what you had a problem with, it's like they definitely have, like you don't have to have that. Like, but then there are some things I don't like I like the Q factor in iTunes better than the Spotify one. I also enjoy some of the ways that the algorithm works in Spotify more than the ones, but they all have good pros and cons, But for the most part, they've gotten quite universal because the competition's so high. They can't have something so obviously good for the other people and they don't have it. Like it doesn't work that way. It's the same with streaming services now. Like if you've noticed, almost all of them now are like kind of modeled off Netflix.
Yeah.
Because Netflix was the first one to be big, and then everyone's like, they try doing their own thing, and now it's like let's just do what they do because Yeah, Hulu, I love a lot of the movies and shows it has. I'm annoyed with its layout. Its interface is stupid. It's like, wait, go down to do that? Like, what? Just click on it and go down. Like, what?
I feel the same thing about iPhones, but we're not.
Oh, really? You're not an iPhone guy?
I have one only because my partner wanted me to get one, and the layout is so dumb to me.
Why? What do you not like about it?
Also, you can't do double screen at the same time. Like, that's annoying.
You don't like it, huh?
No.
What? So you're just not an Apple into Apple stuff? Okay.
That's just me, though.
Right. It's been my world forever. Like, I have an iPhone, earpods, iPad, MacBook Pro, and then the Mac Studio computer memory. Like, I have and then I have an old iMac in my closet. I have 6 or 7, Apple products. I used to have the iPad Pod.
Ginas.
Just all of them. And once you get sucked into the little vortex of a hellhole, you can't get out. Because if it's all you know and do, and it's all interactive and it's all connected, then it's like it's so hard to get out of it.
Yeah,
you're just like I'm an Apple person. And now when I do go on to an Android or a Windows, I don't know. Like it's so confusing. I'm just like, wait, how does this? What is the quick key command for that? Oh my god, I don't know how to copy.
Yeah, I don't know any quick key things. I just know things I can't do that I used to be able to do that were really helpful on Android, like double screen or being able to just hold a thing and be able to download it directly. I can't remember. There's a couple things I need like 3 steps on an iPhone that was 1 step on an Android.
Okay. See, I don't know about all of those things because I never used Android. So I mean, I have like, you know, my mom has one, so if I was like choosing music, you know, I had to like go through and I was confused because I'm used to the way Apple
I can't
works.
download a piece of music on my iPhone. I need to download it on my iPad or my Mac and then transfer it to the iPhone. Like it's
like if you wanted to do like an actual file.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're
it's
saying.
like why is this the 3rd step for, you know, so it's annoying.
I feel you on that. No, yeah, they got me hook, line, sinker. I'm stuck. Thanks a lot, Apple. You ruined my life.
Apple, if you're listening.
Tim Cooke, if you're listening, tell the ghost of Steve Jobs that he should have had Western medical intervention. He'd probably still be alive, but what do we know? Is there anything you'd like to plug before we end?
Drummojo.com is my website. I post philosophical and nerdy drum stuff on there. So if you like philosophy, I guess look at my stuff or read Bruce Lee. I have a whole book list on my website of all the books that I read leading up to all the craziness that I do. So like acting, philosophy, Bruce Lee stuff, Tao Jeet Kune Do. Please read that book. It's amazing. Tao Te Ching, read that book. Even if you're not into Buddhism, just read it. It's a great book. Actor's Way, Actor's Studio. Yeah, it's like everything.
And people can find you on social media.
Social media, Josh Jones Drums, Instagram. And then Facebook, I have too many friends on Facebook, so don't look at me there. TikTok, I'm on TikTok, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
TikTok is toxic for me. Like I posted a couple videos and there were so many trolls on there. Like it's so bad.
You should ignore them.
Oh yeah, I just barely post on there now just because I don't want to deal with it. I don't have a Twitter. I mean, I do, but I'm never on Twitter.
You mean X?
It will never be X. It's like the Willis Tower. I'll never call it the Willis Tower.
It
is the Sears Tower.
Sears Tower, Comiskey Park.
You know, I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, cool. That's it. So, okay. Pretty much social medias, they can find you by your name, Josh Jones.
Josh Jones.
Instagram.
Or Google my name.
Google his name, Josh Jones. Support him. Go out to see your shows. When do you play at the Pavilion next?
Next summer.
Next summer.
We play from middle of June to the middle of August.
I'm definitely going to come. That's
It's
cool.
free to the public, but we do like donations.
Yes.
Buy us a coffee via the number. I forget what the number is.
That's awesome. Well, it's
if
nice
if you see me on the street, say hi, you know.
Josh Jones. Josh. You'll hear that and you'll know like that was him.
Hello. I'll do some sort of voice. I'm very friendly. I promise.
You're a nice guy.
I try.
It was nice to meet you.
Dude, we have to do this again.
Yes,
I feel
we
like
should.
we talked about everything and we still have a lot we could
We do.
talk about.
We definitely should do this again. We'll do it in a couple months or something over winter. Talk about the new updated parts of your life.
There will be a ton, I'm
Good.
sure. 'Cause
When your books,
things are
more books
busy.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad for you. It's good when a musician is like doing the thing, especially when they come from the south side of Chicago. It's a hard place, so I'm happy for you.
Me too.
Very happy for it. That's awesome. So keep doing it. And for those listening, remind yourself that you can do some things of importance to you. Set your mind to it. Work hard. You can do it. Cool. Thank you, everyone. Ciao.